Saturday, January 11th, and this week has been kind of a big running week. Most of the week was kind of a cutback. I didn't do as much running. I skipped an extra workout just because I was really tired and my legs weren't feeling great, so I wanted to give them a rest. But today, I did my longest run ever. Before marathon training, I'd only ever done up to 15 miles, and I did 16 today. And aside from some frustration with the road conditions and sidewalk conditions, it felt really good.
About 7 miles in, and this has been equal parts awesome and incredibly frustrating. When I'm actually on road or clear sidewalk, it's freaking phenomenal. But there are these huge patches that are just not clear at all. So I have to pause and walk and find a new clear spot.
Our team run was canceled due to road conditions, and we weren't going to be able to start at 8 a.m. when we're supposed to start our run, so we were all kind of set free to do the run whenever we could. So I went out a little bit later, and the roads themselves were fine. A little bit slushy and kind of wet and gross, but it was when I got to intersections and there were just huge piles of snow and slush, or came up to an area and then all of a sudden the cleared path just ended and I had to kind of either go forward through the snow or try to backtrack around and find a new way. Aside from those frustrations, it was decent. It was great. It seems like kind of a silly thing to have just that one extra mile, but it's a milestone. It got me thinking about the very beginning of my running career, as it were. I've been running more or less consistently since I've lived in the Boston area. 2 or 3 times a week at least, especially in the first few years that I was here. Maybe 3, maybe 4 miles, and definitely some walking happening. But I started running when I lived in Maine, and I was living alone. I was working evenings, and I loved my job and I loved the area that I lived in, but it was a little quiet and just a little lonely, and decided one day that I wanted to try something new, so I wanted to go for a run. So I put on shoes and walked out the door and pointed myself in a direction and went around what I thought was a pretty big loop. It felt big. God, it was so hard. It was so hard. It didn't help that some of it was hilly and I was starting to run during some of the warmer months. I just remember getting out and I would run for maybe a minute and then walk for 2 and then run for another minute or 30 seconds and walk for 2. And it felt so hard and it felt so long. I had no idea how long it actually was. I don't even remember how long it used to actually take me. Nowadays, I do a lot of tracking of my activities. I have my GPS watch. Before I had that, I was using any one of a number of apps to help track things. But back then, threw on the shoes, made sure I had my keys on me, and went out. I just went and mapped it, and it's just barely over 2 miles. I would have sworn to you that it was way longer than that, like a lot longer. It's nice to see the progress. I wish I could say that it's a lot easier, and I guess it is a lot easier. But I have friends who are like, God, I can't believe you're going out and running that long, and I can only do a mile, or I can only run with walk breaks. And I can very clearly remember when that was the case for me. There are still runs that I'll stop and take walk breaks. And there are still runs that I get out there and I just feel like I'm slogging through the entire thing. So there is zero judgment from me about how long you can or can't run for. Any amount is admirable and amazing, and it's an accomplishment. So don't put yourself down for it if you don't think you're going far enough. It's all part of your path, that's all. I just thought that it was really funny. God, I would have sworn it was longer than 2 miles. But not really, it's not. I can't believe I almost forgot to say this. I broke the $3,000 mark. I can't believe it. I have the best friends and family, and I love you guys so much. I'm so excited to be halfway there for the fundraising. $3,000. Are you kidding me? That's insane. I mean, it's a little insane that I'm only halfway there. I'm only halfway there. There's still $3,000 to go. But 3,000, that's a big number. Thank you.